the middle of page Chofei, in the middle of discussing the started in the bottom of page Chofdal, he said he continued actually to explain the point that a koyach kvar yesh mahus in a sphere. In the level, in the koyach, the spheres are already there. Started discussing about the dogma from ideas atzma ideas atera. That the way the Eberstein knows the Torah, it's not like something comes from the outside. That's the ideas part of the fact he knows himself. And he brought an example of the kind of ideas atzma, just like a person knows that he has the ability to understand something well. So it's not real. It's not in that level of ideas atzma. It's above Gilui. So it's like Shoah Mascheres Rak on page Chofei. וזהו בידיעס עצמי, ידיעס התורה, אין חוכמת התורה כמו שבעצמוס מבחינת חוכמת אינסוף שאינה בגדר גילוי כלל. That's the level, the way Torah is within עצמי, within the Eberstein, so to speak, knowledge of himself. Because the concept of knowledge of himself means he bought a marshal from a person who knows his own talents, but in the nimshal something deeper. It means in the nimshal it's the Indian that it's the way Torah is part of a madrega of Chachma, which is above Gilui. So that's what he says here in Chatzi Igul. He elaborates. In this point, he says that this level of ideas atera, the way it is from within the ideas atzmai, is even ha'ora cannot be with the Gilul. Then he adds one line which I'm still trying to figure out. The Masha ha'or and the body of the Gilul, Gama etzem eine mushlam geda Gilul gam. Not sure what he's saying here. Because actually later in the next line he says something that contradicts a little bit what it says here. Let's read it and then we'll go back to this. So that level of Chachmas HaTorah is only known to the Eberstein himself. No human being can know. It's a pasuk in Iyeh, which Chazal say, talks about Torah, that lo yada eneshak, no mortal, no human being can know its erech, its value. Only the Eberstein knows. So that means you do aklat mus. The achshav lein is gala klal pinazu afila. I'm sorry. Oh, so that's what he says. What does it mean? And then he adds in Chatzi Igul, the achshav lein is gala klal pinazu afila oram is that. Vakla osid is gala pinazu k'moshe ba'etzem. We didn't time it Torah is gala osid. So in a way, this parentheses, what he says that now there's nothing to do with, but also these gallup much about. So that the Chayra contradicts what we said in the previous parenthesis. Actually, earlier we just started today. So how do you reconcile these two parentheses? They contradict each other. In this sense, and the next one it says so maybe that's what it's time to answer in the second half of the first parenthesis. The mashal, anybody the gilly, gamma etzma in the mushlam get the gilly gamma. Not sure, but said the fact that it does validate Gilui, it's because no, maybe it's the opposite. I'm sorry. No, it's not related. Okay, I'll have to redo the Chatzigel. The second one will be on the second. I think we're shot in the first Chatzigel goes like this. The Mashal, any madrega that however from it comes with the Gilui, that's shot. Sorry. Just the language is very cryptic here. Mashal, that level, that however from the Gilui, gamma etzem in the Mashal Megillah. It means even a level of etzem ain't in Mashal Megillah Gilui. Mashenken this madrega of Chachma, that seals. Sorry, Chachma dein sof. She'ena begeder gilus can never be misgal. You can see the way you read it is the mashal and the gilui any madrega that comes that all from it ever comes with the gilui. Come etzem any mushlam gilui gam. It means even when in the state of etzem, it's not mushlam gilui. It's not the ugly effect the gilui. Mashenken such a madrega which is ena begeder gilui can never come to the gilui. That's what it says in this parenthesis. The mailer, that madrega of Idias Atzma, Idias Atera can never be expressed because the Etzem is mushlam megeder gil. You do aklat mus. So that's one point. But now, if that's the case, you have to understand what is the meaning, how is it shaykh that l'osid is galet chinuzu, Meshubetz. So the truth is, maybe the answer to that is a different answer. That it says actually, this is actually one of the Chidushim L'Osid. It says something. We learned it. Chassidus that L'Osid Lavai will be the Ichud, the Ichud Eloi, the Ichud Tato. L'Osid Lavai will be what's going to happen. L'Osid Lavai is against, so to speak, against the laws of nature. It's against the way things are normally. So in other words, in the world you live now in, it's something which is any begeder gil. It can never be scholar because it's not begeder gil. L'asad love is different. L'asad love will be the expression of atzmos has no rules. No rules apply there. I think that's really the answer. L'asad love is a different experience. A different something which is inherently self-contradictory. We cannot relate to it. Like for example, it says "V'lo kol basar yardav." The Rebbe is medayik, "V'lo kol basar yardav," not einei basar. I see. Kol basar is the basar itself, which is something which is not even in the gather of seeing. The same way we say a lot of things about l'asad lavai, it really contradicts the whole aspect of the entire system, all the rules of reality. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we took care of understanding that what it says here. So we have to explain what the meaning is. Now yes, it's a different question. What is the benefit? Why is there such a concept of ideas atzmi ideas atera? What is the benefit from it? We just said that in the normal way of things, that madrega ain't about the klal. What smooth is what I do. I'm kind of ideas. Now he has another twist here. The Eberstein himself doesn't even need the ideas atzma. Even the ideas atzma is also a madrega, because the concept of idea is also some type of so to speak attribute. The Eberstein is above any attribute. Even the word idea doesn't apply to him. So what is the need? This is an interesting way of the way Chassidus relates to things. Chassidus explains things. But when the Rambam says "V'idiyas atzmi idea kol niroim," so the Rambam is talking from a so to speak lahavdil, from a perspective of Kira. The Eibishter is the ultimate perfection. So he has everything, and he knows everything. So that the child, I can say that his knowledge is a result of something on the outside. So answer ideas atzmi. But in the Rambam's if you shoot it, in the Rambam's view, ideas, the fact that Eibishter knows is something which is. It's part of who he is. He's the ultimate perfection. So one part of what he is knowing, knowledge. But the way Chassidus sees it, even if say the word Yedias Atzmai, the fact that they apply to the Eibishter that attribute of knowledge, it's already not the Eibishter himself. The Eibishter himself is above the definition of knowledge. So in other words, in the view of Chassidus, Yedias Atzmai is already step down. We see this actually even in Tanya. Tanya Perek Beis and the Agoy about yesterday. שכוסף פרדס מהרמ"ג ז"ל, וגם לפי קבלת האריז"ל יציב המילסה בספק יסלאפשוס ארצו בספירס, אך לא למעלה מזה. In other words, in the Rambam's view, Hoyedeo Amada is like the ultimate, the highest level. The Eibishter, there's no limit. Yedei Amada, the Eibishter is above everything. But from the view of Chassidus, the fact that the Kabbalah Arizal, the fact that he used the language Yedeya and Mada, Yediyah, that is already a step down. Because the Eibishter, that's what it says the Lashon Arizal in Tanya. Achloy L'maylam is it. Above the spheres of Atzilus, the concept of Yediyah doesn't apply. Yediyah is a human attribute. What do you say? The Eibishter Yediyah, it's not something that applies to him. No, was so okay. That's in Tanya. But what in Tanya is a motion. In our Maimar, it goes even higher. When he talks about Idiyas Atzma here, he's talking about the highest level of Idiyas Atzma. He's talking about the Idiyas Shabatzmusi, Kol Batzmusi. He says even that we don't need it because the Eibishter himself Yedeya, it's a different level. That's what he says now. Ain't it so? Atzmusi dog. It's a very interesting expression. Before that concept of Yedias Atzmai is already some kind of definition. But the Eibishter himself, Yedias Atzmai, Gam Koidem Yedias Yedeya. Now, so the word Yediyah here is in I would say in Sagas Hashlila. So it doesn't lack because he's the ultimate perfection, doesn't lack the what Yediyah adds, but there's no actual Yediyah. So the question is, why do we have to create the madriga of Yediyas Atzma? That is the question. But the question is, so the explanation why this idea exists The liyos, the idea, because this idea, stuck a higher level idea than nivoid, not even higher a level idea than epsonim, because it's only ideas atzmoy. It doesn't get. It's not the idea. It's an act of knowledge. It's part of ideas atzmoy, but. הרי זה סיבה שיוכל להיות שטר that's the first אצילות. שהיא אפשר, כי אם כאשר מתחילה נמצא מציע שם חוכמה שעדיין אין נשאר כלל גיל הזאת. ונחוכמה שתהיה עצמי. What he's saying here is that the reason that idea atzma, which the reason that idea is created, why do we need that? What was the purpose and what was the benefit of creating, I know the word creating applies here, emanating, that doesn't apply. What was the purpose of that idea? And all that's really a first step to create the real idea in as a sphere, the idea the way it is in Eilam Atzilus. So what he's saying here is that in the world of idea, the Eibishter created, again, I use the word created for lack of a better term. So that level of idea is in existence as a siva, called a prerequisite in order for creation, the real idea in the world, not just in our world, in the world of Atzilus, as a sphere. Is Marich here. The בשם חוכמה וידיעה זה נמצא אחר כך מציץ חוכמה שבא בגיל שגם עצמו שכל להבין. בשביל זה נצר, you use the word נצר. מבחינת חוכמה זו שאין חוכמה וידיעה כלל, כי אם מה שבדיעה עצמי, ידיעה סתר, ודי שב אחר כך, מבחינת חוכמה אצילוס, שחוכמה סתר, כמו שלמעלה עדיין קודם שיסגל על למטה. I can't explain all the arichas l'shein, why it's such a long lashon here. I guess each word adds a little more to the point here, but the general idea, the general concept that he's teaching us here is that level of Torah, the way it's called in ideas at Atzmoi, is created in order that should be the soul, the sibah, the cause and the source for ideas, for the actual Torah, the way it is in Atzilus. Kayadua, and it brings a dogma from something else. Kayadua, the inner alteration from Atonal, the teros Torah, the Atzilus Shaman, Pnes Gilel Amato, Atresh is Gal, so it teros Abrir. So basically, what he says, what he's saying is like this: further the idea satzma, and that from that Nisav Chachma that Atzilus, that is also Chachma Atresh Shaman, and Atresh is Gal Amato. Even Chachma Atzilus is saying a stage. There's the Dias Atzma. Dias Atzma creates the Torah Atzilus, which is also above us. You do be in the Torah Atzilus Shamaylam Pnesgil Torah Shalom Sabriya. So there's the famous diuk Kisva Arizal in the Lashon that we say in Birchas Hamazon about Torah Shalimadetonu, Torah Atzilus. In other words, the Torah we can relate to, the Torah that affects us is the lower level, Torah Sabri. But no, the Gam Kedet, some kind of Chachma, English as though, Shaykhul Leishav Latzmai. Now it brings another dug. No, the Gam Kein, it brings another marshal on that concept. The Etzim in the human experience, the fact that the person is Chachma, is wise, is smart. In Adam Shalazulas, the purpose of Chachma is not for the other. Person can sit, he doesn't need a makabel, he doesn't need a student, he doesn't need a friend in order for him to analyze the scholars and to come up with new ideas. He can do it on his own. It's true, he doesn't need it, but at the same time, when he analyzes things, that a scholar, that idea, that intellectual idea is expressed to himself in a way that he can explain it to the other. But he doesn't have to. He could explain, but he doesn't have to. And it says it means in the world of emotions, that in the world of midas, the zulas is part of the picture. If there's no zulas, can be no midas. All kinds of midas means relating to the other in a way of getting affected by the other. You love the other, you hate, you fear, you have pity, all to the other. If the other doesn't exist, if you have fear of something, but the minute that object of fear disappears, your fear disappears. The midah depends on the zulas. Mashenkin in Chachma doesn't depend on the zulas. Chachma could be expressed to the zulas, but Chachma can be done on its own. That's also a mush. That's all this. It wants to bring it out as a mushal when we get to the discussion we have here. But Chachma, making a mile, Chachma the concept of Chachma Ma'ila be'etzem, even Chachma Datzilus, it's not B'Shalom. Gam lo Yisaba no Mashayach L'Schach. Zeo Ma'ilas HaChachma K'nes HaMeichen HaLamidus. That's the Ma'ila in the Ma'ila in the sphere of Ma'ila. That's the Ma'ila of the spheres of Meichen HaLamidus. Shre'eng like B'Shalom. The Midah is the Eibishter emanated. The Midah is that's Eib Shalom. It's what you call them. Kamati Elam Chesed Imana. I have a passage to prove it. Amati Elam Chesed Imana. The Elam is an expression of Chesed. The Chesed is the purpose of the Chesed. It's for the Elam. Otherwise, there's no purpose in Chesed. Can give something. Can be benevolent. If there's no makabel. So the concept of Chesed Midah is only B'Shal Azulas, B'Shal Elams. Moichen Shach Bloilams. All this is a derech hagav shebederech hagav. But he wants to bring out here, I'm calling them b'chinas chachma zui, b'chinas chachma gluya shechayil lavali b'chinas gilu. So derech hagav, he explained the difference of chachma between meichen and midas, the chachma and midas. But in our discussion here, we're talking about yedias atzma. But the way the chachma of Atzilus is a result of chachma klula b'yedias atzma. B'chinas chachma zui, b'chinas chachma gluya. That chachma, not the idea assessment. The chachma of Atzilus is a chachma gluya. Shechayla love b'chinas gila. Shechayla chachma d'Atzilus shemen nisav chachma d'viyah. So that level of chachma d'Atzilus is really stuck and not like midas, which was all purpose of creation is of emanation, is for the makabel, for the elam biyah. But chachma d'Atzilus, in reality, it's chachma gluya and it's creating biyah. He says the chagav is machalik in chachma biyah go for the two levels. Chachma biyah, it's saints. The chachma of biyah, which means that level of wisdom in the elam biyah's purpose is to so to speak, to run the world, to structure the earners biyah. That's the xenius of chachma d'Atzilus. Chachma d'Teira, Atzilus habesh l'beir on the shama. Shenkem the chachma of Teira is from a deeper level in the chachma d'Atzilus. Our Atzilus. Shbaz man, and he's continuing this line of discussion. Shbaz man mishnei alofim Teira, when the Gemara says, famous Gemara, shit alpha shnei ve'alma, shnei alofim Teira, shnei alofim Teira, shnei alofim Meisa Mashiach, says Shbaz man mishnei alofim Teira isri lovo lidegilu p'nes Teira v'shevet chachma zohar shabari lidegilu biyah. So the chachma of Teira, first it was in a state in Lamaila and Atzilus, and then later when the Shnei Alofim Teira came about, it is Chalav Lidegilu p'nes Achavar lidegilu biyah. The chachma of Teira is Nimshach biyah. Moshe, he brings up a melitza that we say in the Piyut Simchas Teira morning, Sisa v'Simchas Teira. Remember, one of the lines that says, Moshe Alalamoy is Mishtacha. Why choose this point to bring this militia? I don't know. It's interesting. So Moshe ascended to up high, and he brought down Oiz Mishtacha. The word Mishtacha there in that period fits the rhyme, but I guess the strength of I don't know exactly the word. Oiz Mishtacha. Let's see what we get here, that when the Schnell Waffen Torah came later in the time of Matan Torah, there was the Yeridas of Torah Mat. What's negated to us is this entire discussion is to bring out the opposite. Im loy oyo. Bchinas Metzias Shem Chachma, the Beloy Chachma idea. I don't know the Beloy. I don't know what the base is a little confusing to me. Al Kaponim, if again the discussion started with Dias Atzma Ideas Atayra, and he asked the question, what do we need that in Dias Atzma should be Ideas Atayra if it's never Bisgal? So the answer is, what is the point of it? Because that in turn causes the Torah the way it's the matter. That itself has never been Bisgal, but it creates the Torah the matter. If that level would never existed, which means the Chachmas HaTorah, the way it's called in Ideas Atzmai, then the Chachma idea would have never been Netzel.
But he's not talking about the Chochma that lo shayches legilui bichlal, rak lo osid lo v'yizkala.
Yeah, but he asked the question. Exactly. But he asked the question. What was the point of creating that Chochma? Right? That was the question. What was the question? What was the point of that Madreg and Chochma, which is lo Chochma idea? And then the answer is, the point of that was because this was the first step, that was the siva, that was the first trigger that will eventually create the Chochma idea. So the creation of the Chochma, which lo Chochma idea, is really for the purpose of that this should be the first source of Chochma idea.
But there is a high level that is not even, it's not nisgala bichlal. It's not even, I don't know.
Exactly. But it's that itself, it's not nisgala, but that is the source, right? That is this is all, actually, this is what you just pointed out. This is the core of this page that he's trying to figure out, to teach us. He started, look at this. In the bottom of page Chavdal, it says, look at the last line of Chavdal. That why is the spheres in the Eira called about Smussoi? He says, there is a concept of spheres in the Eira called about Smussoi. And he started, this entire page we just learned is the expression of he wants to bring a dogma of all the spheres from the way it is in spheres HaChochma. So what do we see in spheres HaChochma? There is the way that which Chochma is. He didn't bring Stam Chochma. He spoke about Chochma of Torah. So what does he say about Chochma of Torah? There's V'Idias Atzma Ideas HaTorah. What is my thing of V'Idias Atzma Ideas HaTorah? That's Chochma Nistor She'enei Bori de Gil, Einei Choyla Lovi de Gil, right?
This is what he's talking about. Lo yoda elish erko rak elokim hevin darko.
Exactly. So that madrega, what was the point of creating of this madrega? Mateyelis. The answer is because this is the first step. That itself is never revealed. But that is the first step that eventually from that madrega, the Torah that we have is created. Does the Lashon there? The Siba Shuchel is Mitzvah Shtashlus. She after Keshem Mitzvah Nitas Mitzvah Shem Chochma Shaddai. In order for the Chochma that seals and the Torah and the Torah the Bria, and the Torah the way it was given Matan Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu, in order for that to eventually come into being, we need first, there has to be a Chochmah the way it exists in Idiyas Atzma, Idiyas HaTorah. B'meile, so that was this entire page. He expanded this point, but that he said what in other words, the dogma of Idiyas Atzma, Idiyas HaTorah, was to bring out how the creation of the spheres lamata cannot. Now, first we spoke about Chochmah. Creation of Torah lamata, Matan Torah, Shnei Alafim Torah, cannot come into existence unless there is a Chochmah in Idiyas Atzma. That's the whole point he's making. Then he says, again, if you so this is really the flow of the mimer. The whole point of the discussion in this mimer is to bring out the Eira and Sof Lifnei Atzimtzum. The Eira Kolbat what it has contains spheres. Remember? That was the whole point of this discussion. So he brought a dogma from the concept of Idiyas Atzma. So the spheres, the way they are in a kolo, they're just like the Chochmah of Idiyas Atzma. It's something which is mufshat. It's never going to the gil. But that is the siva for that seals of the spheres. V'nimtza, what does it mean to us? So, but from this we learn the other view. The Be'er and Sarah not seem to have gone with Metzias Aspirish, Zer Prince Poil Shebekoyach, Vein Asibel is Tavet Aspirish Lachatzins. So that is really the deeper meaning when we say Ein Koyach Hasapoil, the Koyach, the potential, the ability, the power that the Eibishter has to create spheres, that can Ein Hasapoil, it has within it the spheres. So that is one side of the coin. So that they took care of that idea. That this again, let's you have to constantly refer to back. It's all started in page Zion. Page Zion, it started saying the he wants to bring out. Look, in the bottom of page is love this. That Madrega for himself blown the first mimer. Or you should maybe in there is spheres. What is the proof of that? Because Enkai has the fire. So over the last 10 pages, he went on and on bringing out how Lamaila in the air and so in the air called Bats Musa. Or you should maybe within that Madrega there's also spheres. That's see, he discussed it from several perspectives, and the last perspective was what we just learned today. It's from the Moshe of Idiyas Atzma, Idiyas HaTorah. Just like in Torah, there's a great call Idiyas Atzma. Similarly, in all the spheres exist in the era called Shalif Netzimtz. But now he's gonna take a look at the other side of the coin. It's true that Enkai has a foil and the spheres exist in the exception of Tzimtzum. But now he's going to teach us the other side, that the way the spheres are there, it's in a way it's obvious, but he's going to discuss it by Arichos how the spheres the way there, even in the foil, it's a much higher level than the way the spheres are in Atzilus. That is it. We can move on. The Pchinas HaSpheres, but it's ain't a Pchinas Machas V'Sholem. They're not the seals the way they are within the subject of Tzimtzum, just like the Idiyas HaTorah, the way that within the Idiyas Atzma, ain't a Pchinas Machas V'Sholem. It's not some tangible being, existence. But even Shiur Pchinas Pshitas B'Tachlis. So the Earth stays in Pshitas B'Tachlis. The Yeshik HaMasper, the Shem Pchinas Pshitas Mamish, Lo Pchinas Mos Mitzias Dvar Mamish. Dvar Mamish. That is explaining the other side. First, he proved that the rich sphere is there, but now he says, what type of existence do they have over there? The pure state of abstraction of Shota Mamish. And he brings them a dogma. There's a lashon Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim talks about this. He says that the title, the definition of spheres doesn't exist there at all. They don't add anything. It's also obvious. It cannot, like the Eibishter is pure Achdus, it's unity. There's no multitude, there's no division, there's no reboot. Right? Because so that is the point is gonna elaborate on now. First, he was talking about the one side to say there must be the spheres up there. Now he's going to say what type of being is spheres. It's a total motion, total abstraction. You know, despite the fact that Lamaila in the Ensof, the koyach, the potential, the ability, doesn't lack. It's not lacking the poil, the actual bezias. So when we say the sphere is there, that's another point. That's an important point that he made before. That in the human experience, the plan and the execution are two different things. In the way Lamaila, the plan, which means the koyach, contains the poil. Ein achas poil. Mikol makom. It's not the same level of poil of the actual execution, the way it is in the real world, the way when it's revealed. The fact that we say that the koyach, the Eibishter's koyach, contains within it the poil, the Bam is saying, you can't even say there itself there's koyach below poil. Means it's a koyach which lacks poil. It's impossible. We say koyach ein achas poil. Ein ze sha poil shebaor hamizgal nimtz kol ba koyach. So now he breaks it down more intricate and subtle difference. It's not the pshat that the poil, the way it is in the hamizgal, the actual being, the way it is in the revealed level, exists contained in the koyach as it is. The koyach has the poil in it, it has be'etzem, has the poil in a different state. So he's going to elaborate a little bit, maybe. This is mamash afshata shabafshata. We try to understand it a little bit. What does it mean that prior to the existence?
What does it mean? The poel is shebegilui. What does it mean? The poel the shemitzad atzmoi. This is koyach.
But it's not some koyach. It's koyach ein echas poel. The koyach has within it the poil also, but what level of the poil does it have? Not the poil the way it's going to be expressed, but the way it is within the koyach. Yeah.
David, but it's still koyach. If you want to tell me that in the koyach there's a poil, but it didn't come out yet, then what's the difference in that poil and the poil mamish? Why call it poil? Call it koyach. Call it koyach.
Okay. So the answer to that is simple. Because we're comparing it to the way it is in the human experience. In the human experience, the koyach is chasa poil. In the human experience, the koyach lacks the mile of poil. In our own experience, ein chacham kabbalah nisayin. When you have the ability to do something, unless you actually do it, you didn't. It's not perfect yet. It didn't fulfill. It didn't reach the full fulfillment of your abilities. And that's the way it's in our experience. The mile ain't koyach hasapel means the koyach has within it also the mile of the poil. But it's true. He's saying also, it's still bekoyach. The poil that's within the koyach, it's bekoyach, but it has the mila poil. It's different than the actual poil.
So it has the shlemus of pale.
Exactly. It only has that's the way I understand it. That's the way I think I heard it from. That's so the shlemus. You're right. The shlemus of the poil is there, but he uses different language here. I just read it a few times. I'm not saying that I understand it well, but it's this shtickle. היינו שקודם שנסהבה הפועל שבגילוי יש בהכוח נספר מצד עצמי כמה הרי בחינס הפועל הזה מוגדר בערך לגמרי בחינס הפועל שבגילוי. So the second part, in a way, we understand. It's not. We understand the poil shebegilui. You can say like this: poil shebegilui is only the way it affects us. To us, in order for us to feel the poil, it has to reach us. If you don't feel it, it means nothing to us, right? But that's from our perspective. From the Eibushin's perspective, the poil is already in the koyach. But he says the leap from the poil the way it is in the koyach, and the way the poil reaches us is shaloi be'erech. Chinas hapoil hazeh, the way it is within the koyach, muvdo be'erech legamri chinas hapoil shbik. This is the idea that he's saying here. So again, just have to summarize the point. That there is he doesn't articulate every detail here, but he's saying that the sphere is the way they are in a kolobatz muse. They are fully in a way of poil. Like you said before, the shleimus, they have the shleimus of the poil, but from these spheres, the way they're in the state of poil shebekoyach, the way the poil, in the way it's actually expressed, what he calls here a poil shebekoyach, a mizgale, is shalei be'erech. So from the spheres, the way they are in the era kol, and the way they are in the era mizgale is a major leap. And it brings a dogma to this whole concept from a different concept. So that hopefully will give us a clue, but only honestly, it's only a clue to one aspect. You know what? He wants to be machalek between two madregas in poil. What is it? The inner yesh prinas iskalas agila be'elam beizei fan. When we say that the gila is contained within the helem, the revealed state is contained within the hidden state, which the easiest way for us to relate to bring a dogma to that is what the day-to-day experience, machshava in dibu. In dibu, think of his galas, you speak, you say what you think, and machshava is behelem. So the dibu is called on the machshava. What I say before I say it is contained in my thought. And that iskalalus of the gila behelem, when the revealed part is contained within the hidden part, there are two stages, two ifan. It's called stages, two levels. The one is that, like I said earlier, like I said in the Mashal Machshava and Dibu, before you say something, you think what you're going to say. So the helem is toil, but a base, then there's another thing. After I say what I said, and I finished speaking, right? But what's happening now to that expression? It's back in my thought. So the two stages in that. I bought a mashal from Dibo and Machshava because to us, in our experience, this is the most obvious thing. But he is bringing something more subtle, which probably is closer to the mashal, to the nimshal. Kamoi brings a different dogma. Kamoi is kalas akrechas hamizgalim shechoyzem nechvara b'mkoyim la'achar shekhan izgal. First it says a general thing. Any action we do, so we express, let's say, koyach ha'hil. I bought the mashal the first time from something very physical. Walking, a person walks, So when you walk, the koyach hahilo, the koyach hatnu is misgala. So before he walked, it was behelim. When he started walking, it's misgala. After he stops walking, choizer with koyach back misgala. K'moi brings the duga. Shoyves or nachlim lachte. Person rests, stops walking. Vayishbois v'nachlim lachte, and he rests. Shezeo aliyas hakoyach sem koyach. Shat koyach hasoy b'tchilo p'nes hamshach misgala b'amlocha shos. When a person does work, when he writes something, he drives, he walks, whatever he does, when anything a person does, this gal is a seichel, he has to involve his mind, amidas, and feelings. So any act, normal act that a person does, involves his entire system of being, which involves his mind, his heart, his speech, his thought, his action. All these things are expressed. Then, after he stops doing what he's doing, this is a concept I mentioned the first time we learned it. This is a concept that it's like a feeling we have. What happens now when the person rests? Okay, now I'm resting. All my koiches that I just expressed, now they're back in the source. I'm not using them anymore. So we use this image that as if they go back to the source, which basically means they rest. Let's say the koyach hamachshava, let's say, stops thinking about it. He invests in mind into doing something, and then he stops. So then that koyach is back to its source, never in all the other. The that's the point he wants to bring out. After he does something and he rests, when he reaches the level of rest, he's colorless. It means the koyachas are back contained within the source, within his abilities, and then the nefesh. The misbatlim, that's it. It's over. He stopped doing it. So it's void. It's misbatlim again. It's misgalus and it's mamsh. When they were expressed, when they were revealed, they were tangible being. Then when they got back to the source, when they got back, that action, that expression is bottom. Still, when they got back to the original source, there's still a mitzvah. There's still something tangible. Because they already tasted, but they already this koyach experienced the process of acting out, of being a mitzvah. Even when they're not there anymore, they're bottled, they're over, they're void, they're not totally undone. It's not a full bittul. Similar in the more simple. Person stops thinking, stops talking. That stage, the person stops talking, stops thinking. So that thought and that speech, that verbal expression, is going back to the source in the level of Moya. It's not totally it's not totally non-existent. Prior to the expression the first time, they're Edam Mitzias Lagamar. So you learn to be machalik in the beetle. But we're talking about a state when a person is doing nothing, so to speak. So the male, all the koyachas that he has, the fact that he could do, he can walk, he can talk, he can think, is bottled within the nefesh, doesn't exist. It says that the difference, the way it doesn't exist before he actually did it, but he never expressed it, and the way it doesn't exist, it means it's bottled after he already did it, after he did it once. This is the idea that he's bringing out. It's part of a longer discussion that we'll continue tomorrow.
Okay.